Hello everybody and welcome to this episode of In the Kitchen with Dr. H. I'm so excited to tell you about what we're cooking today. We're making a pepper pot soup, and I'll tell you a little bit more about pepper pot soup. It actually began as an African stew, and the recipe was carried throughout generations via the slave trade to the Caribbean, dating as far back as the 1700s. Now, when it came to the Caribbean islands, it evolved to match the beautiful, readily available ingredients that we have, and it became a popular staple across many Caribbean countries, like Trinidad, where I'm from, Jamaica, and many other Caribbean nations. Now, this delicious dish quickly spread to America, where it was nicknamed the soup that won the war. Now, this was during the American Revolution, and this pepper pot soup helped to keep the soldiers well fed in those wintry, cold months. Well, today, I am making a Trini-style pepper pot soup, and I'm pairing that with a cucumber lemon mint chiller. Come on, let's get to cooking. Hello everybody! Welcome to my kitchen! Today we are leaning on those veggies, leaning on those spices, and celebrating those flavors. So I have everything set up for you, and before we even start cooking, this kitchen smells amazing because of all of my spices and seasonings and all of the fresh ingredients. You want to start first with extra virgin olive oil. I like to use about, let's say, 2 tablespoons or so, okay? Just put that in your pan, just like that. Give it some time to heat up. As that's heating up, make sure you have your delicious minced or chopped garlic ready. You've got some onions ready. What I've also prepared, because I love to flavor that oil with a lot of the herbs and seasonings. You know, in the Caribbean, we love our thyme, right? Fresh thyme. But instead of it floating freely in the pot, because we always have to catch those stems, I take another thyme, the big stem, and tie it around the entire bunch, and I leave it in my pot. So instead of kitchen string, it's a nice little trick to kind of keep that so you can fish it out later. And then the other trick that we're going to use today is, instead of cutting up my scallions nice and fine, I'm only going to reserve some of the green tips for later when we're done with the soup, and then just put the rest of it whole right in that soup. It's going to flavor it without overpowering it, okay? I think that oil is ready for us. What do you think? Ready to get started? All right, we're going to start first by putting in, I like to put the onions first. If you put the garlic in first, it tends to get a little too brown and a little too crispy. Oh, do you hear that sizzle? That is just the right temperature. We have 1 medium white onion here, nice and chopped up. We are going to add to that our chopped garlic. This kitchen is going to smell pretty amazing very soon. Let that sort of infuse in there a little bit. Now, as that's going, we're going to add everything else in. This is a beautiful one-pot meal, and literally it's a warm, loving comfort in a bowl. Growing up in Trinidad, I'll tell you, my mother, I know every weekend we had a big pot of soup. I think most Caribbean families have a nice big pot of soup at least on one day on the weekends. But she would make all different versions of soup. And one of our favorite ingredients, of course, is Scotch bonnet peppers. When my mother made hot sauce, her own hot sauce. So we have this. This is a staple in almost all of our dishes. And I'll have the recipe ready for you, but it is the Scotch bonnet pepper is the star. And we have some other supporting characters in here, but it adds an intense flavor. Delicious, and make it as spicy as you like. Well, I like mine a little extra spicy, so we're gonna go with almost all of the Scotch bonnet in there. We're gonna add in some chopped pimentos right there into the pot. And that you could use, if you have pimento powder, you can use that, but I prefer the nice fresh chopped pimento. And then we're gonna throw in our little bundle of thyme. We're gonna go ahead and take that and saute everything up together. Just give it a nice stir. Make sure all of that is incorporated. You can increase your heat if you'd like, a little bit of the intensity of the heat to make sure that everything is in there ready and just marinating together. Now we have a couple of different things coming forward. We're going to have a nice Trini green seasoning. This is another staple that you'll find in almost every Trini's house. We cook with it all the time. So the base for this, we all know about culantro or shadow benny. You can smell that flavor. It actually grows wild in the Caribbean. I remember growing up in Trinidad, my mother had all the seasonings and all the peppers, and basically everything we needed to cook was in the backyard. Or if we needed seafood, we went to the fisherman's wharf. If we wanted meat, we went to the farm that day, right? Everything was that fresh. So I make this green seasoning is culantro. You can put some scallions. You can put cilantro in there if you'd like to, some garlic, lime juice, a little bit of white vinegar. Mix that all together. If you have other greens, just throw it in. It's going to blend beautifully. Like parsley's fine in here. Anything that's a little green, and it adds a delicious undertone of flavor. So I'm going to put just a little bit of that green seasoning in here at this point. It's actually going to infuse through the onions and into the dish. It creates a nice herbaceous base. So here we are. That looks nice. We want to wait until the onions are a little bit more translucent. I'm going to let that cook down just a little bit more. And the star of our dish today is callaloo, right? You can use any green leafy vegetable that you have. So callaloo or the dashing bush or the taro leaves, packed with vitamins and minerals, so much fiber. After you eat this soup, you don't feel hungry for a long time. So it actually really helps you maintain a nice healthy weight. And I don't have any meat in here, so we don't have to worry about cholesterol and your fats. This is a heart healthy, just body healthy dish. So here is my callaloo. I have the callaloo. Actually, you can use fresh callaloo. You can chop the leaves up. You might have to work through it a little bit, make sure it's washed and cleaned. For this, we actually have delicious canned callaloo. The only thing is, it's in salted water, right? So I would tell you to make sure that you rinse that out very well, because you want to control that salt, right? You're in charge of that part for your own health. So add in, at this point, we can definitely add in the callaloo right into here, as much as you'd like. Now, I also have some fresh spinach leaves, so I'm going to actually chop some of those up too and add them in here. Add as much as you'd like in here. This is just literally health in a bowl. And again, it grows wild there in the Caribbean, but you can get it here in different grocery stores. A lot of the West Indian grocery stores will have the fresh dashing bush, and you will probably have to prepare that right away. It doesn't stay very long, you know, so just let that saute a little bit, marinate well. Look at the onions, the pimentos. You can see the Scotch bonnet pepper in there. Notice I have not added any salt yet, because remember, this callaloo sort of came in salted water, so there's a little bit of salt. We're going to do that at the very end. And there is salt in a lot of the different components, so wait till the very end when you do your taste test, and you want to make sure that it is not over salted. Now, the version I have today, it doesn't even need dumplings, because we're going to have so much goodness in there, you really won't need any of that at all. Once we get some of the stock in there, we're going to use some green banana. And I do have Jamaican yellow yam. You boil these separately in salted water, peel them, and you could either leave them to the side like I have over here. If I boil my yellow yam, I leave it in a little water so it stays nice and fresh. And make sure you pick the ones that they have the little fine hairs on them. They're not going to be as bitter. The younger ones are a little bit better. So if you want yellow yam, you don't have to use both, but it's totally up to you what you choose to do. Now I'm going to reserve my Trini hot sauce, decide just how spicy I want our soup to be. All right, now what I'm going to do at this point, I'm going to take some of the scallions, I'm going to cut up some of the green leaves and reserve those for the very end, as my callaloo is breaking down beautifully over there. And then leave the bigger piece over here for us to actually throw straight into the pot. And we're going to do that right now. Just drop it in there. And we're going to add in our beautiful vegetable stock. This also has salt in it, so just be careful to not add any salt until the very end. So we're going to pour in that beautiful vegetable stock in there until you see that everything is nice and immersed. That's perfect. That's about 4 cups of vegetable broth. If you want to add any more liquid after, just use water. You just don't need anything else because you're packing this with flavor. Now I'm going to give that a little stir. Notice my whole scallions are in there. And my thyme bunch, let's see how much that stays together. But that is going to infuse beautifully. It's going to impart its flavor without giving us that woody texture.
Jack
Hi.
was feeling kinda... So he stopped by the CVS Health Hub,
Welcome.
where our provider ran some tests and realized that he needed help to manage his diabetes.
Whoa.
So we recommended a doctor,
Thanks.
worked with his insurance, and got him on medication. And our care concierge
Me again.
helped him find the right gear.
Bye.
Experience healthier made easier at a CVS Health Hub near you.
Sometimes people use smoked meats, right? They use smoked ham or other meats. Don't need that for this dish at all. If you really feel as though you're missing that smoky flavor, I like to put in a little smoked paprika. The smoked paprika gives you depth without all of that fat and all of that cholesterol. So at this point right here, as it's getting a chance, before it actually starts to give me a little bit of a boil, I'm gonna go ahead and throw in my smoked paprika. Let that infuse nicely. You can mix that in. Now remember, I've already boiled my banana, so we don't need to add it in just yet. I just want to give all of these flavors a nice chance to marinate and come together, okay? So we're going to close the lid and just let it meditate in the pot, right? Now, while we're doing that, I could chop up some fresh spinach leaves. If you have fresh spinach leaves or any other greens, throw it in the pot. This is a one-pot wonderful meal. If you have carrots or any other veggies and you want to pop it in here, go for it. And then what you do is you just take your spinach leaves and sort of roll it together, just like this. They're washed already, they've been patted dry. You just take your knife and you're just going to do a nice fine little ribbon. And we're going to just add this straight in. I see that the temperature is getting just right. This should hopefully start to boil. I'm going to let that temperature go to the max over here so it has a chance to get all of that delicious flavor in there. And we're just going to add in our fresh spinach leaves right into it. And we're going to stir that together, get that incorporated beautifully in here, and let it start to simmer and then boil. Here we go. I wish you can smell the kitchen. Oh, it's not even done, but you can smell it. You can smell the flavors in there, and oh, that brings me right back to home, growing up in Trinidad. Brings me back to, gosh, memories of my mother. She would home make everything. Now, she was a nurse in a hospital, and she would work the night shift. So she can come home early in the morning to make us amazing lunches for school. And everything, no matter how busy she was, she found time to make her food for us, home cook a meal. Let me tell you, I never remember getting sick growing up. Never got sick. Never had to take any medicines. I was a healthy kid running and playing outside. That fresh food and cooking fresh meals, not eating processed foods, really does a world of good for your body. Are you thirsty? Well, I'm always thirsty. And this is no alcohol, we don't need it. So I have a nice little container here with some chopped ice and some iced water. It's nice and chilled already, right? We actually grow mint in the backyard. So I took a nice sprig of mint, which we're going to add straight into here. And you don't need to mash these leaves up at all. You literally can just take them, pluck them off, and put them straight in. You will definitely get the mint flavor. If you try to squash the leaves or muddle them, as it's called, sometimes it makes it a little bit bitter because of the chlorophyll in the leaves, right? So you don't need to do that at all. Just use the fresh mint just like that. I'm gonna reserve the rest. I'm just gonna pop some in there. We have a lemon over here, a fresh lemon. I like to roll my lemon a little bit, get the juices going in there. We can take some of that zest of the lemon, which is a nice skin, just get a nice little zester, and take off some of the zest and add it into the drink. That adds another level of flavor to your beautiful, very refreshing drink over here. I do that first before I cut my lemon. after we slice it up a little bit, okay? Oh, did you see the juice bursting out of that lemon as soon as I sliced it? It was really ready for the party, right? We're gonna go ahead and just juice this right into this container. It's going to allow the seeds to get trapped on the top. Oh, this lemon is just ready for us. Look at that. All the juice gone. Get this lid off. Let's see if we can get this lid off here. Okay, pop that over here. Fresh lemon juice straight in. And we're gonna add some cucumber slices now to the top. And we're gonna shake this all together. That's my favorite part. We're going to take this, pop in a couple of these. Put the lid back on. Make sure it's nice and tight. Whoa! This wanted to join the party. This is the lid at the top. Okay. And we're going to shake that up a little bit. Before I add any more water, I like to shake it first. Make sure there's a good chance to infuse. You can put on your music. You can do a little dance. Hey, listen, we have island rhythms in our body all the time, right? I tell you, I never cook without music. My kids and I, when we're in the kitchen, it's a party, usually. We are just having a good old time. We're having a blast in here. Just pour straight into my glass, just like that. Look how beautiful that looks. You don't need any sugar in there. It's just the right amount. And we're going to top this with a beautiful sprig of my mint we had left over straight from my garden. And there we have it. Our cucumber lemon mint chiller. Of course, I'm going to take a sip. Just right. Oh, that hits the spot.
Special thanks to our sponsors: Aetna CVS Health, American Heritage School.
This is a good time now to add in my green banana, which I've already boiled in salted water, right? So it depends on how big the green banana is. These were smaller green bananas that I just ended up boiling too. So I am going to see my pot, nice steamy hot pot there. We're gonna add this straight in. I'm gonna use my same callaloo tongs. There we go. Add my green banana in there. I'm actually gonna add all of it. Now you could add some yellow yam if you choose. You don't really need it because at the very end we're gonna blend all of this together. When we blend all of this together, you will see that it's going to become very thick, and that is when you can add the water. So I'm going to just add maybe 1 or 2 pieces of my yellow yam that's already boiled. Just 1 or 2 pieces. Don't need much more than that. And you'll find that that's going to thicken up the soup beautifully, okay? We're going to add that down here, and we're going to stir this together. Look at that. Oh. Look at that, islands in a pot. Now pepper pot soup, every island, every family, we all have different versions of pepper pot soup, right? So just do what works for you, whatever ingredients you have available. And believe me, in this version, I never miss the meat. If you do want to add some meat after, you can, or even before, use some leftover meat. And you can saute that in the very bottom of the pan in the beginning with all of your seasonings. And then you can add in your greens and your vegetables. Now we're going to let this cook. After you've fished out those components, the pepper, the scallion, and the thyme, you can put it in a blender. Now, of course, blending hot liquids, you just have to be a little careful with that, right? But I've decided to use an immersion blender that goes straight into my pot. You can puree this soup to the consistency that you'd like, right? It doesn't have to be too thin or too thick, and you can always adjust the thickness of the soup itself using some additional water. And I have that water standing by right here, okay? Now that the soup looks about ready here, oh my gosh, everything is broken down nicely. I am going to fish out those seasonings. I have a little bit of a special spoon here, and I'm going to use this bowl. We're going to get our whole scallions. We're in there. The other one that was in there. You could use a pair of tongs as well for this. Go. And you can reserve this, okay? Okay, you can use this in a sauce. You don't have to get rid of it. Oh, look, our thyme stayed together. Look at that. Fantastic. So we can fish that out, and you notice that the thyme leaves were in there, infused beautifully into the soup. All right, now I'm going to puree this down. Notice I haven't had to add any salt yet. No need to add the salt yet, right? So now that all of those ingredients are out of my pot, I'm gonna get my immersion blender and then just puree this right into the pot. This is going to make it nice. Take it around. Hold on to your handle. You see the pieces of thyme in there ran away from you? Just take it out. That is perfect. That's exactly the kind of consistency I want. I'm going to go ahead and give it a nice stir and taste it. Have to taste your soup. Make sure that the seasoning is just right. And let's do this. Quick taste. Make sure that it is just right. Oh my goodness, that's incredible. Touch, just a tiny bit of salt and pepper needed. That's it. It is just right. Oh, that hits the spot. So now, this is a point where I can add in my salt. See how that's boiling and bubbling? Oh, look at the goodness in there. Let's get a nice giant bowl of this, ready to go. This just took me back to Trinidad. Didn't have to travel anywhere. Just literally in my kitchen. And you're in my kitchen here with me. So we travel to my home country and maybe to your own childhood memories. And look how beautiful this soup is. So hearty, so delicious. I'm gonna put just a touch more in there. I'm going to lower my heat a little bit. And I like to top it, pepper. You can put it straight on the top just like that. That's one way. Okay, here's another way I can plate this for you. We'll take some of that beautiful soup, and if you want a little bit of texture, we can add some air-fried plantain chips on the top. And I have some of those for you here. So look on our second bowl, beautiful layer of plantain chips. Right on the top. Just look at that, how beautiful that is. And remember our scallions from before? Listen everyone, wishing you good health and a long life, and I can't wait to see you for the next episode. See you soon. Hey everybody, let's talk about soup. So vegetable and low salt broth-based soups are not only comforting, but they are rich in immune-boosting nutrients, vitamins, and minerals, helping you recover from any illness while providing an excellent amount of fiber, and it increases your vegetable intake. Soups are nutrient-dense, they're hydrating, they fight off disease, they fill up your tummy, they're affordable, delicious, and really easy to whip up with anything, stove, a microwave, or slow cooker. Join me for the next Healthy Minute soon.